Question 1. Underwriting title insurance. An underwriter is evaluating a property for potential issuance of a title insurance policy. The property has a long history of ownership transfers, and the title search reveals an unresolved boundary dispute with a neighboring property. What should the underwriter do before issuing the title insurance policy? A. Issue the policy without any modifications, as boundary disputes are not a significant risk. B. Include an exception in the policy specifically for the boundary dispute and notify the insured. C. Deny the issuance of the policy altogether due to the unresolved boundary dispute. D. Issue the policy but raise the premium to account for the additional risk. Answer. B. Include an exception in the policy specifically for the boundary dispute and notify the insured. Explanation. An unresolved boundary dispute presents a potential title defect that could lead to future claims. Under Kansas law and general title insurance underwriting practices, exceptions can be included in policies for known defects or risks that the insurer is unwilling to cover. By including an exception in Schedule B for the boundary dispute, the underwriter protects the insurer from liability related to this specific issue. Issuing the policy without modifications, option A, would expose the insurer to unnecessary risk, while denying the policy outright, option C, may not be justified if the dispute is manageable. Raising the premium, option D, does not adequately address the specific risk posed by the boundary dispute. Question 2. Scenario-based question. Title insurance claims process. MS. Ramirez purchased a home in Kansas and obtained an owner's title insurance policy. A year later, she was contacted by a distant relative of the previous owner, claiming they have an interest in the property due to a missed heirship issue during probate. MS. Ramirez is unsure how to proceed. What should she do under her title insurance policy? A. Ignore the claim since it is not her responsibility to handle disputes over previous ownership. B. Contact her title insurance company immediately and file a claim under her owner's policy. C. Hire an attorney to resolve the issue privately without notifying the title insurer. D. Attempt to negotiate with the relative to avoid legal complications. Answer. B. Contact her title insurance company immediately and file a claim under her owner's policy. Explanation. MS. Ramirez should contact her title insurance company and file a claim because her owner's policy is designed to protect her against claims arising from title defects such as a missed heirship issue. Under Kansas title insurance law, the insurer is obligated to investigate and defend against such claims if they fall within the scope of the policy's coverage. Ignoring the claim, option A, could lead to legal and financial complications, while hiring an attorney without involving the insurer, option C, could result in unnecessary expenses. Negotiating with the relative, option D, is also risky without legal guidance from the insurer, as it may not resolve the issue appropriately or protect her interests. Question 3. Kansas real estate law impacting title insurance. Which of the following correctly explains how joint tenancy impacts title insurance in Kansas? A. Title insurance does not cover joint tenancy situations since multiple owners are involved. B. Joint tenancy ensures that when one tenant dies, their interest automatically passes to the surviving tenants without probate. C. A title insurance policy must be cancelled and reissued upon the death of a joint tenant. D. In Kansas, joint tenancy is the default form of property ownership unless otherwise specified in the deed. Answer. B. Joint tenancy ensures that when one tenant dies, their interest automatically passes to the surviving tenants without probate. Explanation. In Kansas, joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship, meaning that when one tenant dies, their interest in the property automatically passes to the surviving tenants without the need for probate. This is a critical concept for title insurance because it impacts ownership transfer and potential claims on the property. Option A is incorrect because title insurance can cover joint tenancy properties. Option C is incorrect because the policy generally remains in effect after the death of a joint tenant unless specific changes are made to ownership. Option D is incorrect as tenancy in common is typically the default form of ownership unless joint tenancy is explicitly stated in the deed. Question 4. Title insurance premiums and fees. When calculating title insurance premiums in Kansas, which of the following factors is most commonly considered? A. The number of prior owners of the property. B. The appraised value of the land itself, excluding improvements. C. The purchase price or loan amount associated with the property. D. The number of title defects found during the title search. Answer. C. The purchase price or loan amount associated with the property. Explanation. In Kansas, title insurance premiums are typically based on the purchase price for an owner's policy or the loan amount for a lender's policy. The premium is not influenced by the number of prior owners, option A, the appraised value of the land alone, option B, or the number of title defects, option D. These elements might impact underwriting decisions, but they do not directly determine the premium cost. Kansas title insurance rate regulations dictate how premiums are calculated, and the purchase price or loan amount is the key factor. Question 5. Kansas Title Standards Act. Under the Kansas Title Standards Act, what is considered a prohibited practice for title insurance providers? A. Offering discounted premiums for repeat customers. B. Issuing a policy without performing a title search. C. Providing free legal advice to clients regarding title disputes. D. Offering reduced rates for bulk title insurance purchases by large investors. Answer. C. Providing free legal advice to clients regarding title disputes. Explanation. Title insurance providers in Kansas are prohibited from providing legal advice unless they are licensed to practice law. Offering free legal advice, option C, is a violation of the Kansas Title Standards Act and the unauthorized practice of law, while discounts, option A, and bulk rate reductions, option D, may be subject to specific regulations. They are not outright prohibited. Issuing a policy without a title search, option B, would generally be considered negligence, but it is not specifically labeled as a prohibited practice under the Act, though it would violate industry standards and regulations. Question 6. Kansas real estate law impacting title insurance. Which of the following is true regarding homestead rights in Kansas and their effect on title insurance? A. Homestead rights allow any property owner to claim exemption from property taxes. B. Homestead rights require the signature of both spouses on the deed when selling or mortgaging a property, even if only one spouse is the title holder. C. Homestead rights in Kansas only apply to properties held in joint tenancy. D. Homestead rights are waived when the property is used as an investment rental. Answer. B. Homestead rights require the signature of both spouses on the deed when selling or mortgaging a property, even if only one spouse is the title holder. Explanation. In Kansas, homestead rights protect a family's primary residence from forced sale under most circumstances. When selling or mortgaging a homestead, both spouses must sign the deed even if only one spouse holds title. This ensures that the non-titled spouse's homestead rights are preserved. Option A is incorrect, as homestead rights do not provide a tax exemption. Option C is incorrect because homestead rights apply to all primary residences, not just those held in joint tenancy. Option D is also incorrect, as homestead rights do not typically apply to rental properties. Question 7. Title searches and examinations. During a title search, a recorded easement is discovered that allows a neighbor access to a portion of the property. Which action is appropriate for the title insurance company when issuing the policy? A. Remove the easement from the public record. B. Exclude the easement from coverage by including it as an exception in Schedule B. C. Ignore the easement since it doesn't affect the property's ownership. D. Require the neighbor to obtain a new easement agreement. Answer. B. Exclude the easement from coverage by including it as an exception in Schedule B. Explanation. Easements are a common finding in title searches, and the proper course of action is to include them as exceptions in Schedule B of the policy. This excludes the easement from coverage, meaning that any claims or issues related to it will not be covered by the title insurance policy. Removing the easement from the public record, option A, is not possible without a legal process. Ignoring the easement, option C, would expose the title company to liability. Option D is incorrect because the neighbor is not required to obtain a new easement agreement if the existing one is valid. Question 8. Kansas-specific legal considerations. Which of the following accurately describes Kansas recording requirements for real estate transactions? A. Kansas follows a race notice statute, meaning the first party to record an interest in the property as priority, regardless of their knowledge of previous unrecorded interests. B. Kansas follows a notice statute where priority is given to the party with the most recent knowledge of the transaction, even if they fail to record it. C. Kansas follows a race statute where the first party to record their interest takes priority, regardless of knowledge of any other transactions. D. Kansas follows a race notice statute where the first party to record without knowledge of any prior unrecorded interest takes priority. Answer D. Kansas follows a race notice statute where the first party to record without knowledge of any prior unrecorded interest takes priority. Explanation: Kansas is a race notice state, which means that in a real estate transaction, the party who records their interest first and who does so without knowledge of any prior unrecorded interests is given priority. This protects buyers who diligently check the public record and promptly record their interest. Option incorrectly states that the first to record always has priority, regardless of knowledge, while option B misrepresents the law by focusing on the party with the most recent knowledge. Option C describes a pure race statute, which Kansas does not follow. Question 9. Title defects and clearing title. A property in Kansas has an unresolved lien from a contractor that was placed 5 years ago. The owner is preparing to sell the property but needs to clear this title defect. Which method would most likely be used to resolve the issue? A. Filing for a quiet title action in court. B. Contacting the contractor to request a release of the lien. C. Refinancing the property to pay off the lien before selling. D. Transferring the property with the lien still attached and deducting its value from the sale price. Answer B. Contacting the contractor to request a release of the lien. Explanation: the most straightforward method to resolve a contractor's lien is to contact the contractor and request a release of the lien once the debt is satisfied. Filing for a quiet title action, option A, is a more extreme measure used when the lien cannot be resolved through other means. Refinancing the property, option C, is not necessary if the lien can be paid off directly. Transferring the property with the lien, option D, is possible but not ideal as it complicates the transaction and reduces the seller's net proceeds. Question 10. Ethical and legal responsibilities of title insurance professionals. Which of the following represents a conflict of interest for a title agent under Kansas law? A. Receiving a commission from both the buyer and seller in a transaction. B. Conducting a title search and issuing the title policy for the same transaction. C. Referring a client to a specific real estate attorney in exchange for referral fees. D. Performing a title search for a lender and a buyer in the same transaction. Answer: C. Referring a client to a specific real estate attorney in exchange for referral fees. Explanation: referring a client to a specific attorney in exchange for referral fees is a conflict of interest and a violation of ethical standards in Kansas. Title agents must avoid situations where their financial interests may compromise their impartiality. Receiving commissions from both the buyer and seller, option A, is not inherently unethical if fully disclosed. Conducting title searches and issuing policies, option B, is a normal practice. Performing a title search for both the lender and buyer, option D, is also common as long as the duties to each party are properly disclosed. Question 11. Claims process in Kansas. If a defect in title is discovered after a title insurance policy has been issued in Kansas, what is the first step the insured should take to resolve the issue? A. File a lawsuit against the seller. B. Contact the title insurance company to file a claim. C. Initiate a quiet title action in court. D. Pay the outstanding debt or lien to resolve the issue directly. Answer: B. Contact the title insurance company to file a claim. Explanation: if a defect is discovered after the issuance of a title insurance policy, the insured should first contact the title insurance company and file a claim. Option B. The title insurance company will investigate and determine the appropriate action. Filing a lawsuit against the seller, option A, is not the initial step, nor is paying the debt or lien directly, option D, without first consulting the title company. A quiet title action, option C, might be pursued later, but is generally not the first step. Question 12. Exclusions from title insurance coverage. Which of the following is typically not covered by a standard title insurance policy in Kansas? A. Fraud or forgery related to previous ownership transfers. B. Claims arising from unpaid property taxes. C. Zoning restrictions or ordinances. D. Boundary disputes caused by a neighbor's fence encroachment. Answer: C. Zoning restrictions or ordinances. Explanation: standard title insurance policies typically exclude coverage for zoning restrictions or ordinances. Option C. These are considered legal restrictions imposed by local governments, and the policy does not cover issues arising from these rules. Fraud or forgery, option A, and unpaid property taxes, option B, are commonly covered under a standard policy, while encroachments, option D, may require an extended policy depending on the specifics of the coverage. Question 13. Title commitment review. When reviewing a title commitment in Kansas, what information is typically found in Schedule A? A. Exceptions to the coverage provided by the title insurance. B. The name of the proposed insured and the amount of insurance. C. The legal description of the property with all easements and liens listed. D. Disclosures about zoning and land use regulations affecting the property. Answer: B. The name of the proposed insured and the amount of insurance. Explanation: Schedule A. A title commitment includes basic information such as the name of the proposed insured, the effective date, and the amount of insurance. It also details the type of policy being issued. Exceptions to coverage, option A, are found in Schedule B. The legal description of the property and encumbrances, option C, also appear in the commitment but not specifically in Schedule A. Zoning and land use disclosures, option D, are generally outside the scope of title insurance. Question 14. Encroachments and title insurance. A Kansas property owner discovers that a neighbor's garage partially encroaches onto their property. What would be the most likely action for the title insurance company in this situation? A. Immediately pay the insured for damages caused by the encroachment. B. Deny coverage, as encroachments are excluded from standard title policies. C. Include the encroachment as an exception in the policy to exclude coverage for it. D. Offer to buy out the encroachment rights from the neighboring property owner. Answer: C. Include the encroachment as an exception in the policy to exclude coverage for it. Explanation: Encroachments are generally considered physical property disputes, and they may be listed as exceptions in the title insurance policy. Option C. Standard title insurance policies do not cover issues related to encroachments unless additional coverage is purchased. Paying for damages, option A, or buying out the encroachment rights, option D, is not typical. Denying coverage outright, option B, might occur if no extended coverage is in place, but an exception is a more common approach. Question 15. Title agent responsibilities. Which of the following best describes the role of a title agent in Kansas? A. Act as an independent party that ensures the legal validity of all property transfers. B. Conduct a title search and issue a title insurance policy on behalf of a title insurance company. C. Provide legal advice to buyers and sellers during the real estate transaction. D. Represent the buyer exclusively in all title-related matters. Answer: B. Conduct a title search and issue a title insurance policy on behalf of a title insurance company. Explanation: Title agents in Kansas are responsible for conducting title searches and issuing title insurance policies. Option B. They do not represent only one party, such as the buyer. Option D. Nor do they provide legal advice. Option C. Unless they are also licensed attorneys. Their role is primarily administrative, facilitating the insurance of the title rather than ensuring the legal validity of property transfers. Option A, which is handled by other professionals such as attorneys. Question 16. Kansas Marketable Title Act. What is the primary purpose of the Kansas Marketable Title Act? A. To ensure that a property's title is free from any legal disputes or claims. B. To allow for the quieting of title after a specific period without legal challenge. C. To simplify and clarify land ownership records by eliminating certain older claims and interests. D. To provide a framework for resolving disputes between property owners and lenders. Answer: C. To simplify and clarify land ownership records by eliminating certain older claims and interests. Explanation: The Kansas Marketable Title Act is designed to clear land ownership records by extinguishing certain old claims or interests after a specific period. Option C. This ensures that titles remain marketable and free from outdated encumbrances. While the Act helps ensure that a title is free from disputes, Option A, its main function is to eliminate claims that have not been acted upon within a certain time frame. Quiet title actions, Option B, are separate legal actions, and the Act does not specifically address disputes between owners and lenders. Option D. Question 17. Kansas Title Insurance Premium Regulations. Under Kansas law, how are title insurance premiums generally regulated? A. Title insurance companies are free to set their own rates without oversight. B. Premium rates must be filed with and approved by the Kansas Insurance Department. C. Premiums are determined by the county in which the property is located. D. Title insurance premiums are fixed statewide and cannot be adjusted by the insurance company. Answer: B. Premium rates must be filed with and approved by the Kansas Insurance Department. Explanation: In Kansas, title insurance premium rates must be filed with and approved by the Kansas Insurance Department. Option B. This ensures that premiums are fair and consistent with regulatory standards. Title insurance companies cannot set rates independently without oversight. Option A, nor are the premiums determined by county. Option C. Option D is incorrect, as premiums can vary but must be approved by the department. Question 18. Mortgage title insurance policies. In Kansas, which of the following best describes a lender's mortgage title insurance policy? A. It protects the buyer from defects in the title. B. It protects the lender up to the amount of the mortgage loan. C. It guarantees that the lender will be able to foreclose on the property if necessary. D. Ensures that all encumbrances on the title are resolved before closing. Answer: B. It protects the lender up to the amount of the mortgage loan. Explanation: a lender's mortgage title insurance policy protects the lender for up to the amount of the mortgage loan. Option B. It does not directly protect the buyer. Option A. Although the buyer may purchase their own owner's policy, the policy does not guarantee foreclosure rights. Option C. Nor does it ensure that all encumbrances are resolved before closing. Option D. Although the lender would require that major encumbrances be addressed before issuing the loan. Question 19. Gap coverage in title insurance. What does a gap coverage ECA Kansas title insurance policy typically refer to? A. Coverage that extends to future transactions involving the property. B. Protection for the insured against defects that arise between the title search and the closing of the transaction. C. Additional coverage for title defects caused by third-party fraud or forgery. D. Coverage for any physical damage to the property occurring during the gap period. Answer: B. Protection for the insured against defects that arise between the title search and the closing of the transaction. Explanation: gap coverage in title insurance refers to protection against any defects or issues that arise between the time the title search is conducted and the actual closing of the transaction. Option B. This ensures that the insured is protected against claims or liens that may be filed after the search but before the final transfer of ownership. Option A refers to future transactions. Option C refers to fraud or forgery, and option D is incorrect, as title insurance does not cover physical damage. Question 20. Transfer of title and legal descriptions. In Kansas, what must be included in a deed to legally transfer title to a property? A. Detailed description of all improvements on the property. B. The names and signatures of the grantor and grantee along with a legal description of the property. C. The purchase price and a legal description of the property. D. The appraisal value and any liens against the property. Answer: B. The names and signatures of the grantor and grantee along with a legal description of the property. Explanation: to legally transfer title to a property in Kansas, a deed must include the names and signatures of the grantor, seller, and grantee buyer. This ensures that both parties are properly identified and that the transaction is authorized by both the transferor and transferee. A legal description of the property. This provides a precise description of the property being transferred, ensuring there is no ambiguity regarding the property's boundaries or location. Option A is incorrect because a detailed description of improvements is not a requirement for the deed. Option C is incorrect as the purchase price, while relevant to the transaction, is not a mandatory element in the deed itself. Option D is incorrect because the appraisal value and liens do not need to be included in the deed to effectuate the transfer of title. They are generally handled separately. Question 21. Role of title insurance in real estate closings. In a Kansas real estate closing, what role does title insurance play? A. Ensures that the property meets all local zoning and land use regulations. B. It guarantees the accuracy of the property's legal description on the deed. C. It protects against losses due to title defects or issues that were not discovered during the title search. D. It ensures the property's value matches the purchase price agreed upon by the buyer and seller. Answer: C. It protects against losses due to title defects or issues that were not discovered during the title search. Explanation: title insurance protects against financial losses due to defects in the title that were not discovered during the title search process. Option C. It does not guarantee compliance with zoning regulations. Option A. The accuracy of the legal description. Option B. Or the property's value. Option D. These aspects are addressed separately through other means and professionals involved in the transaction. Question 22. Key provisions of the Kansas Title Standards Act. Which of the following is a key provision of the Kansas Title Standards Act? A. Requirement for title insurance companies to offer premium discounts based on property location. B. Guidelines for determining the legal effect of prior claims and encumbrances on property title. C. Standards for the appraisal of property value during the title insurance underwriting process. D. Rules governing the frequency and type of continuing education for title insurance agents. Answer: B. Guidelines for determining the legal effect of prior claims and encumbrances on property title. Explanation: the Kansas Title Standards Act provides guidelines for determining how prior claims and encumbrances affect the title of a property. Option B. It does not mandate premium discounts based on location. Option A. Set appraisal standards. Option C. Or regulate continuing education. Option D. Which are governed by other statutes and regulations. Question 23. Types of title insurance policies. Which type of title insurance policy is typically purchased to protect the interests of a mortgage lender in Kansas? A. Owner's title insurance policy. B. Leasehold title insurance policy. C. Extended coverage policy. D. Lender's title insurance policy. Answer: D. Lender's title insurance policy. Explanation: a lender's title insurance policy, option D, is specifically designed to protect the mortgage lender's interests up to the amount of the loan. The owner's title insurance policy, option A, protects the property owner, while the leasehold title insurance policy, option B, covers leasehold interests. Extended coverage policies, option C, offer broader protection but are not specific to lenders. Question 24. Title search and examination. During a title search, which document is primarily used to establish the chain of title? A. Abstract of title. B. Plat map. C. Zoning ordinance. D. Property appraisal. Answer: A. Abstract of title. Explanation: an abstract of title, option A, is used to establish the chain of title by summarizing the history of ownership and recorded interests in the property. Plat maps, option B, show the property's layout but do not establish ownership history. Zoning ordinances, option C, and property appraisals, option D, are unrelated to the chain of title. Question 25. Legal descriptions in title insurance. Why is a legal description of the property critical in a title insurance policy? A. It determines the property's market value. B. It provides a detailed record of all improvements made to the property. C. It ensures the policy covers the exact property intended by the insured. D. It identifies the zoning regulations applicable to the property. Answer: C. It ensures the policy covers the exact property intended by the insured. Explanation: a legal description is critical because it defines the exact boundaries and location of the property covered by the policy. Option C. It does not determine market value. Option A. Detailed property improvements. Option B. Or identify zoning regulations. Option D. Question 26. Title defects in clearing title. Which method is commonly used to resolve title defects related to a previously undisclosed lien? A. Issuing an amended title insurance policy. B. Initiating a quiet title action. C. Filing a claim for title insurance coverage. D. Paying off the lien directly. Answer: C. Filing a claim for title insurance coverage. Explanation: filing a claim for title insurance coverage, option C, is the appropriate method to address defects like undisclosed liens, as the insurance policy is designed to cover such issues. Issuing an amended policy, option A, is not a standard method for resolving title defects. Quiet title actions, option B, are legal proceedings to resolve title disputes, but not the first step in making a claim. Paying off the lien, option D, might be necessary, but does not address the insurance claim process. Question 27. Kansas Insurance Department regulations. Which of the following best describes the Kansas Insurance Department's role in regulating title insurance companies? A. Setting the interest rates on mortgage loans provided by title insurance companies. B. Approving the rates and policies for title insurance premiums and services. C. Conducting property appraisals for title insurance purposes. D. Mediating disputes between buyers and sellers in real estate transactions. Answer: B. Approving the rates and policies for title insurance premiums and services. Explanation: the Kansas Insurance Department regulates title insurance companies by approving their rates and policies. Option B. It does not set mortgage loan interest rates. Option A. Conduct property appraisals. Option C. Or mediate disputes between buyers and sellers. Option D. Question 20. Common title insurance endorsements. Which of the following is an example of a commonly used endorsement in Kansas title insurance? A. ALTA 4, condominium endorsement. B. ALTA 6, a restrictive covenant endorsement. C. ALTA 9, environmental liabilities endorsement. D. ALTA 11, plan unit development endorsement. Answer: A. ALTA 4, Condominium endorsement. Explanation. The ALTA for condominium endorsement, option A, is a commonly used endorsement that addresses specific issues related to condominium properties. The ALTA 6, option B, is for restrictive covenants, while the ALTA 9, option C, and ALTA 11, option D, address environmental liabilities and planned unit developments, respectively, but are less common than the ALTA 4 endorsement. Question 29. Reinsurance in title insurance. What is the primary purpose of reinsurance for title insurance companies? A. To provide additional coverage to insured parties beyond the original policy. B. To share the risk of large or unusual claims with other insurers. C. To offer discounts on title insurance premiums to policyholders. D. To manage legal disputes and claims directly with policyholders. Answer. B. To share the risk of large or unusual claims with other insurers. Explanation. Reinsurance helps title insurance companies share the risk of large or unusual claims with other insurers. Option B. It does not provide additional coverage beyond the original policy. Option A. Offer premium discounts. Option C. Or manage disputes directly with policyholders. Option D. Question 30. Ethical responsibilities of title agents. Which of the following is an ethical responsibility of title agents in Kansas? A. Accepting kickbacks from vendors involved in the transaction. B. Disclosing any conflicts of interest that may affect the transaction. C. Providing legal advice on matters outside the scope of title insurance. D. Ignoring minor discrepancies in title documents to expedite the closing process. Answer. B. Disclosing any conflicts of interest that may affect the transaction. Explanation. Title agents have the ethical responsibility to disclose any conflicts of interest that may affect the transaction. Option B. Accepting kickbacks. Option A. Providing legal advice outside their scope. Option C. And ignoring discrepancies. Option D. Are unethical and violate professional standards.